The Nux Taku channel began as a respected figure within the YouTube anime community, before transitioning into the commentary space and then edgy challenge videos where he collaborate and form connections with some of the biggest creators on the platform. Connections that would be stressed and severed when the constant drama and controversy that Nux himself seemed to actively court and revel within slowly began to overwhelm his reputation, cementing the infamous persona he holds today, with a mere mention of his name bringing comments of mockery and revulsion you'd only expect for the most universally hated of creators. From his early days trolling and causing chaos within the anime community, his contents fall into increasingly degenerate subject matter, spreading of false grooming allegations, and past connections to the most disgusting artists on the internet coming to light. That's just to name a few of the controversies that follow Nux's name wherever he may come up. Yet Nux himself remained largely unaffected by these until very recently, and it seems the internet at large is lacking the context behind just what caused his downfall. That's partly due to how numerable and convoluted his controversies are, partly from the few videos covering him only focusing on a small section of his story, and from Nux himself often presenting the situations dishonestly. So this video will walk you through his entire decade-long YouTube career, and to give you the full story of Nux Taku's drama-fueled rise to the peak of YouTube and his rapid, destructive fall back into obscurity. Nux Taku began uploading to his channel regularly in 2015, just after finishing high school, claiming his main reason for starting was that he had no one he could talk to about anime with, so he used his channel as a way to express his love for the medium. Inspired by other early AniTubers, primarily Giguk, who had a more comedic slant that Nux would emulate on his own channel, and right away you can see Nux had a remarkable knack for finding success on YouTube. His channel initially being purely focused on anime, most would look at what others in the same niche are doing, but Nux set himself apart by finding other successful channel series and essentially stealing them for himself, only making them about anime. For example, Honest Trailers became Honest Anime Trailers, and Channel Frederator's 107 Facts series became Sarcastic Anime Facts, among many others. And although the formats and branding was stolen, the videos themselves focused primarily on Nux's humor and his very loud, memey personality that, while some would call juvenile and annoying, seemingly really connected with the anime fans of the time. Nux quickly finding considerable success with this early content style. Combine that with his impressive upload frequency, repeating the successful series over and over, and it was enough to carry him to the 100,000 subscriber mark in 2018. It was around this time he started producing more original anime analysis style content, where instead of just making gimmicky comedy videos, he'd attempt to seriously engage with a series or specific characters, giving his insights to things like character motivation and overarching themes. And these analysis videos were legitimately pretty well done, with him often giving unique, well-reasoned interpretations that had deepened the viewer's appreciation for the series discussed. After hitting 100k, it became clear these new analysis style videos were far outperforming his comedic content. So for the next few years, he'd make them the main focus of his channel. The most memorable videos from this period are of course his No One Understands series, where he'd spend the whole video analyzing a specific character. These are probably still the most beloved videos by his core fanbase today, but the real breadwinner for his channel was the Biggest Flexes in Anime series, where he'd list the most over-the-top, hype displays of power from various popular series, totally enrapturing the average shonen tart. This series in particular doing insanely well for him, with many still being some of the most viewed content across his channel today. Just as he did before, Nux would hard focus on spamming videos in these popular series over and over, riding the wave all the way to the 1 million subscriber mark by 2020, cementing himself as one of the biggest names within the YouTube anime community, forming connections and collaborating with the very channels who inspired him to start in the first place. 2020 is also the first year drama would start to infest and become a core aspect of Nux Taku's online identity. In January, he'd upload the clickbaity titled "I'm Getting Cancelled," although in reality it was just a commentary video talking about other YouTubers' failed cancellations, with just the first 3 minutes being him acknowledging the few small dramas he'd gotten into by this point. They're all really big nutting burgers, to be honest. Like, according to him, he got called racist for a meme on his channel where he'd always pronounce Full Metal Alchemist like this. But the biggest would be him getting swept up in the great trap discourse of 2020, where he was criticized for referring to femboy characters as traps, which was a very common term in the anime community for as long as I can remember, but in 2020 was suddenly considered transphobic and there was a whole big shit show over it, mainly located on Reddit, where the term got outright banned on r/anime memes.
That is literally such a travesty, and clearly I was trying to be hugely transphobic, even though I was talking about anime characters that are called traps, and they've been called traps for over a decade.
The most notable thing about this, however, was how Nux decided to respond to his criticism.
So, no, I am not making an apology video for something I don't think I did wrong. I think that the memes were solid. I thought the memes were fun. I don't think I did anything that warrants an apology, and therefore I, Lord D. Nuxanor, will not be apologizing.
Already establishing his unapologetic brash persona when it came to drama, often going out of his way to create controversy within his anime niche and using it as a way to create content to, as he often puts it, flex on the haters. Using drama and low-stake controversy as a reoccurring trend to boost his channel just as he'd repeat successful video formats before. From this point on, Nux started to focus a lot more on these commentary-style drama videos, and videos discussing the anime community itself, where his boisterous, chaotic personality would once again come to the forefront. By the end of 2020, pretty much totally replacing the anime analysis content the majority of his audience had originally come for. This would cause some friction with his audience, complaining about missing his older content, and Nux responded to it in the video I Miss the Old Nux, where he essentially admitted to getting tired of the endless analysis content, and only kept making them because they got him views. But now that he was so successful, he wanted to shift focus onto making videos he personally found fun. In these new commentary videos, he both cover other YouTubers' dramas, and interestingly, his own drama, which he seemed to be actively courting, with a new one every other month. As this year, his channel would be the cause of two rather big controversies within the anime fandom. First off, was him creating a hoax on Twitter claiming the fan favorite My Hero Academia character Bakugo dies in the manga, spreading further with this absolutely masterful piece of clickbait, using his old trick of stealing the branding from a more popular channel, legitimately fooling a huge portion of its fandom, and leading to mass flaming and death threats from MHA fans towards Nux for spoiling the series. Although most people just found this to be pretty funny. Second was the My Anime List interspecies reviewers situation. The anime interspecies reviewers caused waves in the anime fandom when it released for just how incredibly explicit its content and very premise was, being a series following a guy who visits and reviews brothels for various fantasy races. And Nux's channel was already starting to veer towards the more degenerate subject matter he'd later become so infamous for. So he made a video praising the series, and as an offhand joke, asked his fans to go rate it a 10 out of 10 on My Anime List, which is the most popular anime review site.
I need you all to go into the description, click the link to interspecies reviewers on My Anime List, and give interspecies reviewers a 10 out of 10. Bam! If we can mobilize 100,000 of you to this noble cause, interspecies reviewers will literally be in like the top 10 most high-rated anime of all time. Fam, this is our time to shine. Let us flex on the internet with their awesomeness, and I will definitely update you on the epicness to come.
And this would quickly start to blow out of proportion when the sheer volume of his fans overwhelmed the site with ironic positive reviews, only emboldened when the localization studio Funimation dropped their plans to officially bring the series to the West. Anime fans seeing this as censorship and leading to somewhat of a culture war within the community, causing those people to also join in on the brigade, ultimately pushing the series to the #1 spot, dethroning Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. By this point, it was becoming a giant controversy within the anime space, as Fullmetal Alchemist fans are infamously very protective of their #1 spot, and My Anime List purists complained it was ruining the integrity of the site for a dumb meme, leading to counter brigades where they'd spam 1-star ratings in retaliation. Ultimately, My Anime List itself would speak out against Nux, complaining that their unpaid mods had to manually undo all the brigade reviews, and apparently even threatened legal action against him. But this ended up backfiring when it was exposed the site needs 600k a year, yet didn't pay their moderation team at all. That PR disaster, combined with the Fullmetal fans complaining about their series not being #1 anymore, coming off a little cringe, ended up with Nux once again coming out on top, the whole situation only growing his reputation and his channel size. This year, Nux even made a tongue-in-cheek song about how he was becoming known as the toxic, uncancelable troll of the anime fandom.
Through all your bitching, I'll never be gone, 'cause you're my favorite subject, my easily triggered subject, my pathetic list.
I mean, it's okay. But yeah, I'm sure he has a great music career ahead of him. Okay, I'm breaking the timeline a little here, but it doesn't really fit anywhere else. But I have to mention that the next year he revived his music career to drop the song Twitch is Hentai, a song basically roasting Twitch for all the hot tub streamers and its inconsistent moderation after he ended up getting banned there. And it ended up being so unbelievably cringe, even his own fanbase hated it and he had to delete it a few days later.
So you're a Twitch thought, nasty greedy witch thought, tier 3 grabbing bitch thought, pimping out your simp thought. I'm the chat type, Barry Poggers mad type, Monka S mad lad type, epic clapping rat type. Twitch is hentai. Duh.
But anyway, yes, Nux loved to create chaos, and it was certainly effective in further growing his fanbase. But this would eventually also lead to a small group of hate watchers forming, even before any of his more egregious controversies. Either lapsed fans who hated how his content had changed, or people who thought he was like an annoying cancer, harming the anime community, with one particularly unhinged member even going as far as to swat Nux during a stream in July of 2020. There were never any further details behind who did this or what their motivation was, but it is pretty remarkable to see how even after this, Nux maintained his unshakable confidence and content brain, making a lighthearted video covering the situation. However, before we move on, there was one more controversy from this time that overshadows all others. Not for its severity, but rather in how more than any other, it is still constantly referenced to this day whenever his name gets brought up. That would be the allegation that Nux's avatar was plagiarized. There is a recent clip from last year where Nux speaks on this ancient drama for the first time, and after some quick research and going off what he said in that clip, I actually believe Nux was entirely innocent in the first draft of this script. But after doing more research, I don't think so anymore. So according to Nux, he received the offending art from a fan 8 years ago, which to him just seemed to be some especially well-made fan art. But in reality, it was a stolen piece of human sans art that the fan had just made slight alterations to so it fit Nux's design, like adding the red X mask from Teen Titans. And then, not knowing it was plagiarized, Nux proceeded to use it as his main avatar.
For alleged art theft on Twitter all the time, because there's this whole copy pasta going out about how I stole art and stuff. I don't know if you're aware, my avatar is based off anime Sans. Okay, Sans from Undertale, but animeified. And that's been my avatar for a very, very long time.
Until, according to him, at some unspecified date, the plagiarized artist reached out to let him know it was stolen. Nux says he credited them, stopped using the art, and commissioned an artist to make a replacement. So his entire argument basically hinges on him claiming to already be using a human sans character design before receiving the art, which seemed reasonable to me. That was until I decided to double check the dates lined up and actually do a deep dive checking all his old videos to find out exactly when he started using the stolen art and what this supposed previous human sans design looked like, only to find there was no previous human sans avatar at all. No, in videos before this, Nux was using the Red X character as his avatar. The only sans connection is that he added the glowing blue eye and uses Megalophania as his outro theme, which is why the fan added the mask to the stolen sans fan art in the first place. The plagiarized artist, who now goes by Grim on Twitter, claims she reached out to him via email only to receive no response. But in the clip, Nux said he did respond and they had a conversation where he agreed to credit her. On top of that, there is no credit as he claims. In the description of his videos, he does credit his sans character design, but it's to the other artist he got to do the replacement avatar, not the original who was stolen from. Okay, I know this is a little confusing, but the core of the matter is, every single thing Nux says in his belated response, when you take the time to check for yourself, is just a straight up lie. And so the only reasonable inference you can make is that Nux did steal the fan art and design. Either himself, or maybe that part about a fan sending it to him, is the one single part of the clip that's true. Either way, the base Nux Taku design he is still using today was taken from that plagiarized art. Now, how egregious a crime you think that is up to you, but it is very telling how blatantly he lies about the whole thing, just to make himself sound better, instead of simply admitting to using stolen art so many years ago and apologizing for it. Twisting a narrative like this is something that will start to become a more common trend for Nux that will really bite him in the ass in later sections. By 2021, Nux had all but transitioned entirely into just discussing drama, trends, and primarily creating collaboration videos with other YouTubers, both within and outside of the anime community, including giants like Mutahar, someordinarygamers, Call Carson, CDogVA, and even MoistCrit1kal. And these newer videos had a notably edgy, provocative leaning to them, playing into his character of causing chaos and being a typical degenerate weeaboo, with video titles like I hosted the most degen Rule 34 tournament, where he'd get other huge YouTubers to compete guessing which character had the most entries on the not so Christian website, or I donated 10,000 to streamers if they say the N-word live. Regardless if you find these amusing or just plain cringy, there was certainly a breath of fresh air for how squeaky clean and inoffensive other big channels had become at this time. And these attention-grabbing thumbnails and topics, combined with the exposure from constantly crossing over with bigger and bigger creators, was enough to get him well past the 2 million subscriber mark by the end of the year, where his main channel still sits today. And it's worth noting Nux had developed a very positive reputation with YouTube behind the scenes. He's actually known for mentoring smaller channels with their content strategy and thumbnails, and he's even stepped in to help several other creators who ran into trouble with YouTube, like playing a key role in restoring Best Guy Ever's channel after it got taken down from false copyright strikes. And as well as that, he started a fairly successful podcast with the two commentary giants, Mutahar and Oompafil, that ran for almost 3 years, which would eventually fall apart because of well, we'll get back to that. With this new content direction also came a radical shift to his own persona, as he officially jumped on the VTuber bandwagon just as they were reaching peak popularity in early 2021, commissioning a model and adopting it as main avatar from this point on, as well as ingratiating himself within the VTuber community, with a lot of his most common collaborators during this time being fellow VTubers, mainly those associated with the largest VTuber talent agency, VShojo, such as Project Melody, Fruit, and Iron Mouse, quickly building his name and a mostly positive reputation within yet another online community. However, this only ended up lasting a few months, as by October of that same year, he'd fall into what's perhaps still the most high-profile drama of his career. It began when Nux himself was sent an email by someone claiming to represent the VShojo agency, recruiting him and asking for personal information. And after reaching out to the real head of VShojo, he confirmed it was illegitimate and revealed to Nux that these fake phishing emails were being sent en masse by a malicious actor attempting to gain personal information and dox other small VTubers. The guys at VShojo informed Nux they were already carrying out an investigation on the guy, but Nux decided to go ahead and conduct his own investigation regardless, eventually finding the doxer's identity and posting a video on his channel exposing the situation with his usual over-the-top meanie style, like with any of the other petty dramas he inserted himself into.
Someone is out there impersonating VShojo, the massive VTuber group. They tried to steal my info, dox me, and swat me, and they've successfully done this to many, many other VTubers. This is not a video that I want to make because I want to. In fact, I literally just called someone saying, hey, I really don't want to record this video. And he basically told me, yes, I have to, because this is one of those for the greater good kind of videos that I'm gonna have to sit y'all down and listen to the tale.
The video would go pretty viral since big drama wasn't especially common within the early VTuber space. Now, initially, the response to this expose video was overwhelmingly positive, with VShojo's official Twitter account even thanking Nux for making the video. However, the tide quickly changed when many big VShojo members Nux was publicly friendly with, like Iron Mouse and Froob, made tweets condemning him for publishing the video, claiming they felt betrayed since they had asked Nux not to make the video prior, despite VShojo management giving him the go-ahead, but apparently neglecting to inform their own talent. They said that the video only served to draw more attention to the situation and put their safety and those whose information had already been published at risk. Also saying that explaining how the doxer went about things could inspire others to follow in his footsteps using the same tactics. And furthermore, others would say Nux only made the video for clout, since he was already known for causing drama to grow his reputation. I can kind of see where they're coming from, but on the other hand, Nux had near explicit approval from VShojo themselves, and making the information public undoubtedly saved other independent VTubers from falling prey to the doxer in the future. That said though, the VTubers asked Nux not to release the video, and he did it anyway, so I can't see why it was a stressful situation for them and they felt somewhat betrayed. It's a pretty complicated situation, but really I think the main party at fault would be VShojo themselves for not letting their talent know they approved the video, as it would have completely avoided the insane shit show to follow. As the next day, after the VTubers flamed Nux, not only were fans of both in a confused anger against him, but then VShojo themselves, in a frankly retarded attempt to save face, came out to throw Nux under the bus, releasing a statement claiming that they told Nux not to release the video, despite him later showing Discord messages showing them actively encouraging him to bring the situation to the public's attention and even working with him on fact-checking the video. And despite all the evidence being in Nux's favor here, the sheer size of the VTubers and VShojo itself resulted in a huge influx of hate being sent his way. Under all the pressure, he'd delete the video after 3 days and leave the internet for a short while, returning with the uncharacteristically bluntly titled, serious-toned video, Moving Forward. As we've established before, Nux had made courting drama and causing chaos a core part of his brand. He'd have cringy catchphrases like flex on the haters by fighting toxic people with toxicity. And in all the situations before this, Nux was usually the one in control, and the dramas were ultimately pretty low stakes, just messing with anime fans and the like. And the original video exposing the doxer even had that sort of vibe to it. But with how much things blew up in his face after, I think this is the point where things got a little too real for Nux. He was no longer in control or having fun, and seemed to think he'd really come close to ruining not only relationships he's formed online, but his own career as well.
To be blunt, last week was one of the worst weeks of my life. There were miscommunications and drama, and if for a period of 24 hours when I got mega cancelled by lots of massive creators, I thought I was a goner, because it was extremely ugly to the point that I didn't eat or sleep for days.
Luckily for Nux, after clarifying the complex series of events and exposing VShojo's dishonesty through the whole situation, the heat for the most part died down, with many of the VTubers who blew up on Nux releasing new statements apologizing for the harm they caused over the whole thing. That mostly just came down to an unfortunate misunderstanding, and it seemed that all parties involved just wanted to move on and avoid any further reputational damage, with everyone pretty much cutting ties after this. Nux would soon return to his usual content, and after the whole VShojo fiasco, made a conscious effort to remain out of drama. But it would only be a short while till he found himself at the forefront of yet another major controversy within the VTuber space. This being, by his own admission, the absolute worst mistake he ever made as a content creator. So this all started from a video uploaded in 2022 titled, I showed Penguinz0 every VTuber drama, in which Nux relays various VTuber scandals to the 15 million sub YouTuber on his stream. The video as a whole got criticism over Nux's poor research, but most of the situations covered weren't anything especially controversial, so the backlash was minimal. However, there was one situation mentioned that was significantly more sensitive, which Nux misrepresenting in front of such a big audience would cause some major issues. BungoTaiga is a femboy VTuber who had false PDF file allegations spread about him shortly before the video's publication.
Is this HoloLive?
No, Taiga is an indie streamer who, I don't know the whole story, but Taiga was outed to be a
I don't know the whole story, but we want to talk about out of context, bro.
Nux states that they are a pedophile very bluntly, despite admitting to not knowing all the details, bringing tons of more attention and hate to the comparatively small VTuber. So the situation with Taiga is a little complex and somewhat beyond the scope of this video, but essentially the accusations against Taiga were almost entirely false, with supposed evidence being taken out of context, framed maliciously, or just straight up photoshopped. The whole thing turning out to be spread by 3 former mods for Taiga that became like romantically infatuated with him, and after being rejected launched a smear campaign in retaliation. There were some sus messages that the internet seems to have accepted as merely off-color jokes, and the only part that really stuck was that Taiga had an affinity for younger anime characters, but it's not as if that was some new revelation for them. But the whole grooming aspect, by the way, was not part of these allegations, and Nux just added that on according to Taiga. So not only did he draw attention to these false allegations, but also added on much worse ones on top of that, which he and Charlie's fans would blindly believe and harass Taiga over due to how laissez-faire he approached the whole thing. So this, of course, really hurt Taiga's image, and even years later there are still some people who believe him to be true because of this video. It was also very hypocritical for Nux Taku of all YouTubers to call someone a pedophile for being associated with lolly content, but we'll get more into that in the next section. Eventually, Nux would apologize for the whole thing on an episode of the Some More Day podcast, but in a snarky, kinda hand-washy way, claiming the misinfo wasn't his fault because he believed it from a mysterious friend who told him about it, and only making Taiga look worse, saying that he saw creepy messages, so quote, who knows if it's true or not, and said he made amends with Taiga in DMs, but then a later reaction from Taiga would contradict this.
BungoTaiga, and I apologized to him privately that...
Let me be clear. Let me check exactly what he said. If I do a sequel with Charlie, I was planning on it. I'll try to clear the record more publicly. I'll also do more research. Again, I don't know right now, however, I'll try to rectify any extra damage I caused and hope you can accept my apology. This was in December 22nd, 2022. 2022! He said he was going to make a sequel video with MoistCrit1kal. Video never came.
Nux still gets hate over this to this day, and has responded to it several times, either in streams or in unrelated videos, but has still never made a dedicated video clearing the air like he said he would, or has even given an accurate or satisfactory apology, at least by Taiga and most other people's standards. And within those many apologies, despite his words, he seems to come off more annoyed over the thing not going away for him, rather than being genuinely remorseful. But at least Taiga himself has seemingly recovered and is doing well today. So after this drama, Nux largely remained free from any major controversy, at least through the remainder of 2023. As for his channel, in 2023 Nux made a video on the main channel claiming he was shadow banned and as a result greatly slowed down uploading his regular content there, instead favoring his second channel, Nuxinor, which he launched in 2021 that mainly hosted slop reaction segments from his streams cut down into videos. And this would become the vast majority of his uploads, overtaking the rare collab and edited commentary videos on the main channel. This allowed him to upload twice a day practically every single day, but why did the main channel get shadow banned in the first place? Okay, so I've been avoiding bringing this aspect of him up to this point, as it didn't really become an unignorable problem till he shifted to a second channel, but Nux's content, and especially his thumbnails, had taken on a more, degenerate, not safe for work porn addict vibe, if you catch my drift. As we've seen, his content went through several radical shifts throughout the years, and because of that, a lot of his fans started to voice their complaints with the direction his channel was taken, either not liking how dependent his content got on collaborations, missing the thoughtful analysis videos, but by far, the most common complaint was about his borderline not safe for work topics and straight egregious clickbait.
You're gonna goon so much, you may even get tired of gooning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much gooning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep gooning. We're gonna goon more.
So for his thumbnails, Nux claims he took inspiration from the Anime Man's thumbnails, who also frequently uses kinda provocative imagery to grab attention, although there's a few major differences that result in Nux getting criticism over his use of the style. For one, the Anime Man only uses them when they fit the video, and they're images from the media that he's discussing within it, whereas Nux will just take any random topic and shove a super lewd piece of fan art in the thumbnail, regardless of the subject matter. But more substantially, Nux pushes things way further than him with just how insanely explicit some of these thumbnails are, often using cropped or just barely censored images of straight up pornographic art. And on top of that, the content itself at this point, being stream clips, relies solely on Nux's own spur of the moment comedy. And it really feels like 8 out of 10 times his idea of comedy is to just reference porn.
Requested video from LS Mark, Lois Griffin, the worst cartoon mom. Lois Griffin used to have some really S-tier porn.
One of my favorite things in the whole wide world would have to have been cartoon mothers.
Oh my god, he just like me, except I wasn't 10, I was 20, and it wasn't on cartoons, it was on hentai, and...
He's right. Welcome to your new home. And your new body.
A new home?
Dude, I cannot wait until the Rule 34 artists do something with this. Not because I want to see it per se, listen.
Weird headset, and now I'm...
Dude, I recognize that voice actress. Hold up. Who voiced this character?
Who are you people?
And have they ever voice acted in something slightly more Rule 34?
I mean, there will be jokes like that in pretty much every single video he makes by this point. Sometimes he just straight up makes videos reacting to explicit material under the guise of it being a meme. Like for instance, the most popular video on the entirety of his second channel, which he recently took down for reasons that'll soon become obvious, was a reaction video where he straight up watches a full-on not safe for work animation of the Animal Crossing character Anka. It's that one dance one that kind of became a meme online for a while. Other YouTubers referenced it, but Nux took things a step further, watching the full freaking video with very minimal censorship. Like, I obviously can't show it here, but when I say minimal censorship, I mean you can see pretty much everything. I think Chud Logic's reaction to seeing it for the first time should give you an idea of how bad this was.
Oh! Can I show this? Is this allowed?
Wait.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I have no idea how his channel didn't get straight up nuked after uploading this, and although this is easily the most egregious example, there are literally dozens and dozens of similar segments across his channels. Just watching hentai with YouTubers with, again, just barely enough censorship to not get the video taken down.
Bro, they're fucking exceptionally young, Jesus Christ.
I do have to mention, people have criticized Nux for his videos being, in their view, targeting younger people and then going on to show this stuff, even though I personally don't think his videos were ever made for younger audiences, yet at the same time it's undeniable. A lot of them do watch it, so that adds a creepy layer to this. But I think there are two possible reasons for why the gooning became so ubiquitous on his channels. One is that Nux is generally just that obsessed with this kind of material that he can't help have it leak into his videos. Or two, he just realized this kind of borderline content performs very well, and just as he previously latched onto other video formats or collaborations with bigger YouTubers, saw it as an easy way to garner views and revenue. I think that last one is the most likely. But the reason this is so relevant, beyond painting a picture of what his content was like at this time, is because it became the focal point in mid-2024 when Nux found himself in his next, and undoubtedly most damaging controversy. On July of 2024, the cancellation of MrBeast co-star Kris Tyson took place. I'm sure most of you remember it. However, what's relevant to this story is why Kris was cancelled. It was due to being associated with the infamous not safe for work artist Shadman. Shadman pretty much became a meme online during the edgier time of the mid-2010s. Many online figures would reference him and his art in an ironic, joking way for how messed up it was, as he was known for favoring politically and morally incorrect subjects within his work, notably underage lolly characters, and most deplorably of all, art depicting real underage figures in explicit situations. Essentially, by 2024, being associated with him in any way would at the very least cause people to raise some eyebrows at you. And that's just what befell dozens of prominent figures when the Shadman Megathread was published shortly after Kris Tyson's situation. It brought attention to dozens and dozens of creators who had interacted with Shadman to various degrees. But the one name on that list that got the most heat was, of course, our main man Nux Taku. So after this, people on Twitter went digging and found a lot of worrying things linking the two. First off, there were public tweets with Nux asking Shadman to collaborate with him. As well as that, there were previous clips found where Nux mentioned having extensive exchanges in DMs with him. And finally, it was found Nux had used Shadman's art in multiple video thumbnails. Most infamously, this piece of lolly art based off some Game of Thrones character. With all this coming to light, Nux was grilled pretty hard over the whole situation, which he responded to in a video on his second channel attempting to disprove the claims. However, he was not exactly honest in this video, likely because the truth makes him look pretty bad. To start off, he claims he didn't know Shad drew real-life minors. There is no indisputable proof against this, but I find it absurd someone whose job it is to make YouTube videos covering drama would not have heard about such a big controversy. As well as that, he claims he only had short interactions with Shad to set up a collab, but he himself contradicts this in previous clips.
I can't even, oh my god, I literally can't read any of this to you. I really want to show them to you, but I don't want to like show you anything that I can't reveal. Like, I don't want to actually get him in trouble. It's just like, yikes.
He also speaks on only one of the Shad thumbnails he used, and says he changed it within an hour after learning who drew it, but old screenshots show this to be untrue as well. And most damningly, he says he was only trying to collaborate with Shad to grill him over his objectionable art, and he'd explained this when commentary YouTuber Lyrics asked for clarification on Twitter. So you didn't know the quote extent of his shit, yet you were going to grill him at the same time? Nux replies, I knew about his lolly stuff and some of his art, like the bestiality with fictional children, etc. Definitely enough to grill the guy. After this, Nux says he has a history of doing collabs where he would troll and grill people. Yet the evidence of this is an interview with the producer of the live-action One Piece series and an interview with an anime voice actor. So let's see how Nux mercilessly grills these guys.
Thing is, you're actually one of the best dub voice actors. Whenever I see you in a show, I'm always excited. Like, I unironically watch the Horimiya dub because I think you do such a good job.
Oh, thanks, man. It's a really cute show.
I usually watch anime and sub, but Horimiya, dude, you kill it.
Yeah, after checking these vids, Lyrics replies again, calling Nux out for these videos just being him glazing these guys, after which Nux conveniently stops replying to him. And one more thing, he says he was going to grill Shad over drawing lollies and bestiality, and I mean yeah, that's pretty terrible, so I could see Nux shitting on him for it, is what I would be saying if Nux had not used art of both those things multiple times in several thumbnails across his channel, as seen here, and in an even worse character indictment, started to change and delete them during this time to try to cover his tracks. Okay, so to take a step back for a moment, as I said, I believe Nux uses this imagery to garner attention and clicks. He claims he is not an enjoyer of lolly, despite him only taking a firm stance against it after joining the Someordinary podcast and trying to ingratiate himself to the commentary community. Whether you believe him or not, and how bad that is ultimately up to you. But Nux was a big YouTuber now, and was hanging out with a lot of the biggest commentary creators on the Someordinary podcast every week. And the commentary community, pretty unanimously, does not fuck with lolly. Multiple creators have been ousted for the community for consuming that kind of content. And well, now it was Nux's turn. After the Shad kerfuffle, people started to look back more critically at the content Nux had been posting for the past few years, and started to harass his collaborators over associating with him. Most of them, like Oomphaphil for example, were smart enough to not get publicly involved with the whole thing, but the other Someordinary podcast member, Mudahar, very much did. Muda was getting a lot of heat on Reddit over Nux's actions, and he made a post there disavowing him. Then, on July 28, he would appear for an interview with the drama streamer Chud Logic, where upon being asked about Nux's Shadman connections, he would make what appeared to be a definitive disavowal of Nux.
Crazy shit. Like, you'd have no... If I knew that Shadman was drawing fucking kids and doing crazy shit, Nux definitely did, and that's never okay.
Okay. Are you going to keep him off the podcast?
No, we would cancel the podcast. It's not happening. The podcast is done.
This is hard because obviously, you know, people want me
podcast is done, yeah. Podcast is done now.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the podcast is over. We are not filming the last episode. It's over.
Is that are you serious?
Yeah, we're not doing the podcast anymore. It's done.
Saying he believes there is no way Nux was not aware of Shad's crimes, heavily implying he is done associating with Nux and that they are cancelling the Someordinary podcast over the whole thing. However, the very next day, Nux uploaded a video calling the stream misinformation and trying to defend himself against the Shad stuff using the same arguments he did in those tweets we dismantled earlier. And most notably, the video ended with Mudahar appearing and claiming the podcast was not ending because of Nux and it was unrelated behind the scenes business stuff. Further saying he misspoke and was misrepresented by Chud, blatantly throwing him under the bus, covering for Nux, knowing very few would have seen the video on Chud's much smaller channel. Then, to try to downplay the whole thing further, they actually would go ahead and do the last episode of the Someordinary podcast anyway, in which they would try to put the situation to bed with a very quick, awkward exchange.
It has nothing to do with, obviously, our relation to Nux. Nux is a PNG character that has always been a PNG popular character on the internet. Controversial, but not controversial enough for us to cut our friendships with him. At least in my opinion.
That's very kind of you.
Good job of really tying up those loose ends, Muda.
Damn.
What the f do you want me to say, bro?
I do have to say... I do have to say...
Many were suspicious of how strangely the whole thing was handled. All the while, Chud continued covering and signal-boosting videos covering Nux's degenerate past, notably those by Nicandros and Harmful Opinions. And he had a stream in August with Nicholas Diorio and frequent collaborator of Nux, Turkey Tom on, where they stated the content on Nux's channel was so bad they had no choice but to completely cut ties with him.
But I think there was a very nasty implication, and I was like, why the f are you showing this to me? And he was like, it's just memes, man. Yeah, it seems to me like Nux is a completely unprincipled person, basically willing to use the degenerate stuff when it's convenient. As far as Nux, yeah, I don't know, I don't really I don't really want to do content with him.
Muda later joining the call and seeming to be swayed by their arguments, after which he would post the infamous post-Nux Clarity video in December where the drama reached its crescendo. In it, Muda fully and definitively cut ties with Nux Taku, citing his use of not safe for art in his thumbnails, Nux getting him to react to what Muda considered lolly content, and Nux handling of the BungoTaiga situation as his main reasons.
The last couple months, this has been something where I feel like I've been taking a whole fuck ton of the pot shots, when really it's Nux that should absolutely be taking a lot of this, shit full face on. Something that I haven't seen on his secondary channel, main channel, social media platforms is actually taking accountability for some of these pretty serious grievances.
So yeah, this should be the end of it, right? Well, just a few hours later, Muda would take down the video and make a post on his community tab saying he feels the video was overly emotional and that he no longer stands by it, yet maintains he will no longer be friends with Nux publicly, saying he wants to stop doing drama videos and take a break from YouTube, conveniently right when he was the one getting heat. But wait, right after this, he apparently, according to Nux Taku, called him and apologized for everything, and then they became friends again. So in the end, this whole drama, largely just because of how disingenuous Nux was at the start, ended up blowing up into a much bigger deal than it should have, and had the effect of dredging up all his past controversies back into the public spotlight, specifically the BungoTaiga stuff and Nux's lolly adjacent content, causing a lot of his collaborators to at the very least publicly cut ties with him, and destroying the positive reputation he had built so much over these past few years. After losing so many of his connections, Nux had stopped doing the collaboration videos and focused pretty much entirely on the slop reaction videos. And there was one YouTuber he consistently came back to react to time and time again, that being the universally liked storytime animator Jaiden Animations. Despite how petty and dumb it appears on the surface, this is likely the most high-profile drama Nux had ever found himself in. So this all started around August of 2024, when people on Twitter and TikTok started roasting Nux for how he titled his Jaiden reactions, framing them in such a way it appeared like he was in the videos, like, Jaiden and I just found out we have ADHD, and goodbye, Jaiden and I had a great 10 years on YouTube, all things end. Or reacting to cursed Jaiden Animations Rule 30, oh shit, how'd that get in there? Okay, so these reaction videos were really easy to make fun of Nux for, and basically became an outlet to hate on him, with the same trend also seeing people making fun of his gooning brain rot. Nux later attempting to brush it off as getting cancelled by kids on TikTok. But the thing is, you can tell he was actually kinda had hurt feelings over this. Like, check out this description. Time to keep living rent-free in the heads of the Twitter and TikTok Mr. Beast Jaiden Defense Squad by doing the parasocial crime of, gasp, reacting to Jaiden Animations videos on stream. Oh no. This ended up doing nothing but embolden the backlash and memes being made about him. Like, even Chazington, a guy who never gets into drama, had his own little arc shitting on Nux. But the worst part of this was, it was going down during the same time as the whole Shadman Some Ordinary podcast fallout, so it signal boosted Nux in the mainstream, along with all the new drama, like the lolly thumbnails and Taiga situation, really drawing the public's attention to his downfall, and leading to a lot of videos about him being made by big YouTubers. One relevant part from his past was a video he made reacting to the Jaiden Animations Rule 34 subreddit. And in the video, he acts like he's admonishing it, but then spends the whole video reading the not safe for work comics of her and showing everyone watching where to find them, in this sort of oh, this is so messed up, but I'm gonna use it to make content and meme about anyway way. Which is cringe with regular hentai, but when it's art based off of a real person, and a person that Nux seems to have this weird parasocial attachment to, it comes off really creepy, to be honest. So despite the Jaiden thumbnail stuff just seeming like another bit of cringe, it was merely the cherry on top of the poop sundae that was his decade of minor to outright egregious controversies all at once coming to the public's attention, and I think is what fully destroyed his reputation more than any other. Nux nowadays only ever mentioned to be mocked, and his channel's growth after this pretty much fully stopped. So what is Nux Taku up to today? Well, he just does the worst kind of reaction content. I checked out a recent upload where he's reacting to Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and you can tell bro's just checked out by this point. Like, his vtuber model keeps closing its eyes and it looks like he's struggling to stay awake. And he's so low energy, he's just kind of yapping but not really saying anything meaningful. He also does just straight up piracy on his channel. Like, most of his recent uploads on his main is just reactions to straight up full episodes of TV shows like Adventure Time, where he uses his ugly filter to get around copyright. I don't know how his channel hasn't been taken down over this yet, but it feels like it's only a matter of time. Although it gets even worse, as over on the second channel, he's straight up gone down the politics grifting spear. After his channel was stagnant for so long, he did manage to revive it by doing these videos reacting to like Fox News and Trump speeches. Basically just copying Asmongold, pretending to care about politics since people will watch you regardless of any controversy if you parrot their political beliefs back at them. But oh my god, I cannot imagine getting your political opinions and news from fucking Nux Taku. He will very occasionally still do old collab videos, but all he has now are really small, also controversial VTubers who can benefit from being featured on his much larger channel. I don't know, watching the old anime analysis videos and even his early collab videos when I was researching this, he seemed so full of energy and passion back then, so it's kinda sad to see what happened to him. But the way he'd always tried to twist the truth to weasel out of taking accountability for anything, no matter how small, and claiming to be against degenerate content, but being so willing to use it to grow his own channel, then complain when he gets pushback over it years later. At the end of the day, there's no one to blame for Nux Taku's downfall, but Nux himself. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please leave a like, it seriously helps its performance. And if you liked it, you'll definitely like my video series covering the similarly insane drama-filled career of the Twitter artist Fallen Chungus.